Ryusuke's the kind of dude who treats rock bottom like a summer vacation spot. A broke-ass loner with zero rizz and even less self-respect, he's been living off mommy's pity coins just to throw them OnlyFans milfs who wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire. Bro's whole personality is please flash me, mommy. But when his parents stopped the stipend and now Ryusuke's out here in the wild, desperately looking for a local waifu to flash him like it's Pokemon Go for perverts. On a rainy day, a boy named Ryusuke is talking to his mom on the phone. He asks for his monthly allowance, but she says she can't send it because she's using the money for her own project. This upsets Ryusuke, and before he can say anything more, she hangs up on him. He gets mad and is about to call her back when his friend calls him from outside so they can walk to school together. He hurries out and heads to school. While riding the escalator, he notices something different about his friend Mina. Her chest seems bigger. He thinks about it, and Mina, noticing his look, figures out what he's thinking. She tells him that her body changed over the summer. In a faraway place, something strange happens and a red-haired girl appears from another world. At school, Ryusuke tries to be friendly with some students who got wet from the rain, but they make fun of him and call him Arasuke. Later, during their last class, Mina tells Ryusuke she has to stay back for council duties, so they head home separately. While walking home, Ryusuke sees the same red-haired girl from earlier standing in the rain outside his house. He invites her inside to dry off. She's unsure at first, but agrees after he assures her he respects women. Ryusuke realizes he hasn't introduced himself yet, but the girl already seems to know all about him. This surprises him. Before he can ask anything, the girl suddenly gets close to him and asks for his heart. Ryusuke, thinking she's being romantic, agrees. But then the girl apologizes and stabs him in the chest with a sword. Ryusuke falls back in shock. The girl reveals who she really is and then goes to take a bath. She returns wearing Ryusuke's shirt and tries to wake him by kicking him. He doesn't move at first, but then starts muttering about her legs and wakes up acting like a total pervert. This shocks the girl because he recovered so fast. He continues acting weird and grabs her hand. Suddenly, the room fills with a blue light that gets absorbed into the device on the girl's wrist. Ryusuke passes out again while the girl steps back, surprised. When he wakes up, he finds himself kneeling in front of her while she sits on the sofa like royalty. She says her name is Lizara Restel and that she's from a noble family in a place called Grimwald. She tells him she's a Grim Reaper from another world and needs his life energy to stay in the human world. Ryusuke laughs, thinking it's all just a joke. Lizara gets annoyed, stands up on the table, and brings out a big blade. Seeing this, Ryusuke realizes she's being serious. Just then, Lizara senses something strange in the house. She looks around and notices a monster nearby. She quickly prepares to fight and attacks the monster's presence. The monster shows itself, surprising Ryusuke. Lizara puts up a green barrier around the house to keep anything inside from being noticed outside. She transforms into her full Grim Reaper form. Ryusuke watches in shock and tries to hide. Lizara fights the monster and hits it hard, especially on its tentacles. But the monster is still stronger than her, especially since she doesn't have her full power. Ryusuke sees her struggling and feels bad. Lizara tells him to stay back as she keeps fighting. The monster hits her hard, knocking her down and draining her power. She lies on the floor and her clothes start to vanish. Meanwhile, Mina comes by to visit Ryusuke, but sees the house dark and quiet. Because she can't see through the barrier, she decides to go back home. Ryusuke sees Lizara's body and instead of panicking, feels excited. Suddenly, he figures out that his magical energy comes from perverted thoughts. Just before the monster can hit Lizara again, Ryusuke jumps in and attacks it. The impact gives him a chance to grab Lizara's hand and pass all his energy to her. After doing that, Ryusuke collapses. Lizara suddenly feels a rush of energy and stands up. She gets her blade ready and shoots a powerful beam at the monster. The attack is so strong that the monster disappears within seconds. She walks back to Ryusuke and realizes that his energy comes from erotic actions. This means anything perverted around him helps build up his mana. Ryusuke gets excited and explains everything to her, then gives her more energy and passes out again. Lizara uses that energy to fix the house, making everything look just like it was before the fight. Ryusuke looks around, feeling proud and thankful. He tries to brag that it was all of his mana that helped her win, but Lizara quickly brings him back to reality. She tells him that she's actually helping him because he only has 3 months left to live. At first, Ryusuke thinks she's joking, and when she says it's true, he starts to panic. After telling Ryusuke that he only has 3 months to live, Lizara casually brings up the recent death of a panda. Ryusuke quickly checks online and confirms that it really happened, which makes him even more scared. He starts begging Lizara to help him live a long and perverted life. Lizara agrees but says she needs to find someone called the One, a human with endless mana. After saying this, she heads off to sleep in one of Ryusuke's bedrooms. Left with no choice, Ryusuke goes to sleep in his own room. The next morning, Ryusuke wakes up feeling great from a nice dream. But when he checks under his blanket, he notices something strange. He doesn't have a morning wood, which leaves him confused. He walks downstairs and sees Lizara already up, wearing the same school uniform as him. She tells him that the one is a student at his school, so she's going there to investigate. Ryusuke agrees and they both head out. Outside, they run into Mina, who's waiting for Ryusuke like always. She's surprised to see him with another girl, but stays quiet and walks with them to school. At school, the teacher introduces Lizara as a new transfer student. Everyone in class is immediately curious about her. Mina quietly mentions that she didn't know Ryusuke had a distant cousin like Lizara. Lizara greets her classmates and uses her wrist device to check their mana levels. Out of everyone, only Mina has more than 1 million in mana, but Lizara seems unsure about forming a contract with her. One of the creepy students who had tried to harass Mina earlier tries the same thing with Lizara. He touches her inappropriately, but Lizara reacts quickly and knocks him away. Embarrassed and angry, the guy runs out of the classroom and yells that she'll regret it. Lizara just exhales sharply and glares at him. From that point on, Lizara begins seriously searching for the strongest soul. Ryusuke tries to help by introducing her to all kinds of weird and strong students at school, but none of them turn out to be the one she's looking for. Eventually, they get tired and take a break. Ryusuke asks how Lizara knows the special soul is even at their school. She explains that a friend from Grimwald told her, and she remembers the meeting before getting up to keep searching. Out of nowhere, a portal opens behind them and Lizara's friend, Quell, steps out. She says she's found the person Lizara is looking for. But when she says the name, Ryusuke gets chills. It's the same creepy guy who tried to harass Lizara earlier. Ryusuke warns her about him, but Lizara knows she has no choice and decides to be polite, trying to shake his hand. Inside the gym, Lizara asks the guy for a handshake, but he rudely refuses. Watching through the window, Quell is shocked and furious. She remembers setting this up and expected it to work. She gets involved and forces the guy to shake hands with Lizara. But the moment they do, Lizara realizes he's not the one after all. Before she can pull her hand back, a magical chain appears from their handshake and wraps around Lizara, lifting her into the air. Ryusuke jumps to help her, pulling at the chains, but it doesn't work. Quell then uses magic to make the guy forget everything and fall asleep. Lizara struggles against the magical chains but can't break free. Ryusuke quickly gives her energy, which helps her break loose. She lands and stares at Quell, realizing that she was tricked and this was a setup. Lizara and Quell both change into their Grim Reaper forms. Ryusuke wakes up from his exhaustion and sees their transformed appearances, getting lost in his usual perverted thoughts. Lizara doesn't waste time and puts a barrier around the gym before starting the fight. As the battle begins, it becomes clear that Quell is stronger. She lands her attacks easily, while Lizara struggles to keep up. The fight continues with intensity as both Lizara and Quell exchange powerful blows, their Grim Reaper auras clashing in waves of magic. Suddenly, Quell charges up a heavy energy strike and launches it straight at Lizara, sending her crashing into the far wall of the gym. Ryusuke watches in panic. He realizes that if this keeps going, Lizara might actually lose. Acting on impulse and his usual instincts, Ryusuke throws himself between the two combatants and grabs both of their chests at once. The gym goes silent. Both Lizara and Quell freeze in place, wide-eyed and stunned. Ben screams. Quell and Lizara both shriek and jump back from Ryusuke in horror and disgust. But before they can punish him, Ryusuke channels all the mana he's just built up from this perverted act and transfers it straight into Lizara. The energy rush is instant. Her power skyrockets. With her mana fully restored and supercharged, Lizara wastes no time. She powers up her ultimate spell and fires a massive beam at Quell. The gym shakes from the impact, smoke and dust fill in the air. But when it clears, Quell is gone. She escaped just before the final blow could land. Lizara clicks her tongue in frustration but quickly focuses on fixing the mess. She restores the gym to normal using her energy and heads home with Ryusuke. As they approach Ryusuke's house, they both notice something strange. The lights are already on. Lizara immediately draws her weapon, alert and ready to fight again. They storm inside, only to find Mina sitting calmly in the living room waiting for them. Lizara lowers her weapon slowly and Mina looks at her with raised eyebrows. With no way to explain things normally, Ryusuke and Lizara spill the truth. Mina listens carefully, her expression unreadable. To Ryusuke's surprise, she believes them. Mina explains that she had seen Lizara disappear without a trace during lunch break, which was suspicious enough to make her follow them. Now, everything adds up. To clear the air, Lizara quickly explains her professional relationship with Ryusuke so Mina doesn't get the wrong idea. Mina nods in understanding, but her eyes linger on Ryusuke a little longer than usual. Ryusuke, never missing a chance, tries to justify his perverted powers and how important they are to the cause. But both Lysera and Mina shut him down, completely ignoring his enthusiastic monologue as they start eating dinner, leaving Ryusuke to pout in silence. Still, a tiny smirk plays on his face. He's living with two beautiful girls, has mysterious powers, and might even have a shot at saving his own life. Not a bad deal. The next day at school, Mina tells Lysera about 8 students in their school who are far from ordinary. She says these students have unique talents that make them good candidates for being the person Lysera is looking for. Ryusuke is surprised since he never noticed anyone like that around. Mina just smiles, used to how clueless her childhood friend can be. Lysera decides to meet these students, so Mina takes her to see the first one. The first student is a girl named Meshiora Munio. Her special ability is that she can guess any girl's bust size with perfect accuracy. They meet her at a theater where she correctly names the sizes of all the bikini models on display. Ryusuke gets impressed and praises her talent, shaking her hand excitedly. Lysera, on the other hand, doesn't understand how this is a useful ability. Ryusuke tries to explain passionately, but Lysera just sighs in disappointment. Mina then tells Munio that Lysera wants to shake hands with her. But Munio refuses, saying she only respects people with a certain bust size and Lysera doesn't meet that mark. Suddenly, a girl with a large bust appears on the screen and Munio says this bikini idol Iria is her inspiration. Ryusuke recognizes the idol and proudly says he's a fan too. He tries to impress Munio by saying Iria's size is 90 F cup, but Munio corrects him, saying it's actually 92 G cup. Munio challenges Ryusuke to check Iria's real size at her fan meeting the next day. Ryusuke agrees and adds a condition. If Munio is even 1 millimeter wrong, she has to shake hands with Lysera. Munio accepts the challenge and the bet is on. That night, Mina's parents come into her room and tell her that a foreign exchange student will be living with them. Mina agrees without realizing her parents are under hypnosis. The new student turns out to be Quell, who has used magic to control Mina's parents so she can stay at Mina's house. Quell enters Mina's room and casually asks her about her relationship with Ryusuke. The next day, while Ryusuke and Lysera are waiting for the train, Mina calls out to them. Ryusuke is happy to see her but quickly steps back when he spots Quell behind her. Quell smiles and walks over, saying she'll be joining their school to stay close to Lysera. Mina then reveals that she's formed a temporary contract with Quell. She'll be sharing her energy so Quell can stay in the human world. Lysera accepts it, trusting that Mina made this choice on her own. Lysera brings up yesterday's fight and asks Quell why she lied and attacked her. Quell quickly says that she got the information from Merlet Life Security, a supposedly trustworthy source. Lysera starts to wonder why a trusted source would give her false information. Later, Ryusuke, Munio, Mina, Lysera, and Quell head to Iria's autograph event. They all get in line to meet Iria. Lysera keeps giving Iria sharp looks for some reason. When Ryusuke finally gets to shake hands with Iria, it's revealed that Iria is also a Shinigami. She has the same device on her wrist that measures mana. She checks Ryusuke's mana level, sees it's only 15,000, and immediately loses interest, quickly moving to the next person. Munio is next. When Iria checks her mana, she suddenly becomes cheerful and invites Munio to join her company. Ryusuke feels ignored, but Lysera steps forward and reveals the truth. Iria and Lysera were classmates in Grimwald and often competed with each other. Lysera always got first place, which made Iria jealous and bitter. Seeing Lysera again, Iria gets angry and challenges her to a duel. She uses her powers to set up a barrier around them, then transforms into her Grim Reaper outfit, shocking everyone around. Ryusuke, who had always admired Iria, feels disappointed when he discovers that she's actually a Grim Reaper. He loudly complains about how perfect she was, only to find out she's one of them. Lysera, overhearing his constant praise for Iria, becomes irritated and gets mad at him for still supporting her despite knowing what Iria is capable of. Ryusuke doesn't seem to care and continues to admire Iria, which makes Lysera jealous. In her frustration, she decides to fight Iria herself. However, Lysera struggles against Iria's much stronger abilities. Even though she's clearly outmatched, Lysera refuses to accept any energy from Ryusuke. Ryusuke watches as Lysera is beaten and offers her his energy to help, but she stubbornly refuses. He doesn't understand why she keeps rejecting his help, but Mina figures out that Lysera is jealous because Ryusuke keeps praising Iria's grown-up body. Realizing his mistake, Ryusuke jumps in front of one of Iria's attacks aimed at Lysera and clears up the misunderstanding, telling Lysera that he likes her body just the way it is. After hearing this, Lysera finally accepts his energy, and as it flows into her, Iria is shocked to see the massive surge of power coming from Ryusuke, especially since she thought he only had 15,000 mana. With Ryusuke's energy boosting her, Lysera becomes much stronger and prepares a final attack for Iria. The attack overwhelms Iria, sending her flying, and Lysera emerges victorious. Quell cheers for Lysera's success, giving Ryusuke a grateful look for his help. Meanwhile, in Grimwald, someone in the Grimwald Tower senses the powerful energy coming from Ryusuke and starts taking notice. The next day, Iria arrives at Ryusuke's school wearing the same uniform as everyone else, announcing that she's a new transfer student. She immediately joins Ryusuke's class and reveals that she's a former classmate of Lizara. The boys at the school are thrilled to see Iria, as she's considered a popular idol with an amazing figure. After her introduction, a crowd of boys quickly forms around her, and many of them line up to shake hands with her. Lizara quickly realizes what Iria is doing and accuses her of using her popularity to get close to the students and find the one she's searching for. Lizara threatens Iria, and another fight nearly breaks out between them. However, Ryusuke steps in to stop them. Seeing him involved, Lizara backs down and decides to leave to continue her search for the next person on her list of the Extraordinary 8. Iria tries to provoke Lizara again, but stops when Ryusuke makes another comment about her appearance. Iria, surprised by Ryusuke's reaction, decides to use him to get back at Lizara. She charms Ryusuke with her appearance, using her allure to convince him to show her around the school. Lizara, frustrated and jealous, walks away, leaving Ryusuke with Iria. Quell notices Iria's intentions and senses that she's up to something. Meanwhile, Lizara, eager to find the one from the Extraordinary 8, starts asking students about them. She gathers hints about the strongest members, and with each piece of information, her interest in one particular person grows. She eventually learns that this person is often found in the library, so she plans to check it out. As Lizara heads to the library, she suddenly senses something off and meets Quell and Mina on the rooftop. They inform her that Ryusuke is still with Iria, showing her around the school, which sparks a hint of jealousy in Lizara, though she tries to hide it with anger. Out of nowhere, the girls encounter a massive monster in front of them. Lizara decides to protect Mina by casting a barrier around them. Quell is also trapped inside and has to fight as well. Both Lizara and Quell transform and prepare for battle with the monster. After a tough battle, Quell and Lizara are exhausted and injured by the monster. Mina notices the drop in Lizara's energy and realizes that Lizara won't be able to hold on much longer without Ryusuke's help. She quickly runs down from the rooftop to find him. Meanwhile, in the girls' changing room, Iria manages to seduce Ryusuke, taking advantage of his weakness for erotic things. She tries to convince him to break his contract with Lizara and become her partner instead. Iria uses her charm, hoping to make Ryusuke more excited, but despite getting him worked up, Ryusuke still refuses to betray Lizara. Iria checks his mana, but is disappointed to find that his power is still low. She attempts to make another move on him, but Mina interrupts by knocking on the door and telling Ryusuke about the situation on the rooftop. Without wasting time, Ryusuke rushes to the rooftop with Mina. Once they arrive, Iria expresses her anger toward the Merlit organization for interfering with her mission, which makes Quill believe that Iria isn't directly involved in the situation. Ryusuke rushes over to Lizara and notices her body, which gives him a sudden power boost just from the sight and a light touch. He quickly transfers this immense energy into Lizara. Everyone, including Iria, is shocked by the sudden surge of Ryusuke's mana. Iria feels jealous, upset that Ryusuke seemed more excited by Lizara's body than hers. With her newfound strength from Ryusuke, Lizara charges at the monster and defeats it with a single strike, turning it to dust. She emerges victorious again and rushes to Ryusuke. However, during the battle, Iria has an accident and her secret is revealed. She has been using silicone breast implants and a magic spell to conceal them, making her body appear more mature than it actually is. Iria gets embarrassed when her secret is revealed and tries to hide herself. Ryusuke, trying to console her, gives a passionate speech that helps boost Iria's confidence. She eventually gains her composure and runs off from the rooftop. After the incident, Lizara remembers she needs to visit the library to find the extraordinary guy. Ryusuke follows her, and they both head to the library. While there, a group of students who call themselves researchers approach Ryusuke. They give him a crown and ask for his opinion on a certain matter. Mina then informs Lizara that Ryusuke is actually one of the 8 extraordinary individuals, though he still doesn't know it. Lizara sighs, feeling helpless that Ryusuke, the leader of a pervert research group, is the one she's been searching for. Mina tells Quell a story about her and Ryusuke's past, and just by talking about it, she creates a lot of energy for Quell. While they're eating ice cream, Quell asks if Mina loves Ryusuke so much that just talking about him gives her so much energy. Mina agrees and even mentions that she's glad Quell has started liking Ryusuke too. Quell is surprised by Mina's comment and starts questioning herself. After their conversation, Quell goes outside for a walk. She notices some strange movement near a park and, using her spectral glasses, sees that Lizara and Ryusuke are fighting a monster inside a protection barrier. She sees Ryusuke telling Lizara passionately that he'll be ready next time, which moves her heart. The next day, Ryusuke starts studying seriously in the library. Quell, who's been following him around, notices that he's studying dictionaries and notes. Mina, who's also following Quell, says that Ryusuke is actually training for Lizara. Ryusuke walks around the school memorizing his notes. Quell feels unsure about what Ryusuke is doing, but Mina easily figures it out. Meanwhile, Lizara is still searching for the Extraordinary One. She meets several of the 8 extraordinary members, but none of them meet her expectations. After school, Ryusuke goes to a bookstore and starts reading an erotic magazine. Mina and Quell are still following him. Quell looks at him and asks Mina what he's doing. Mina smiles and explains that Ryusuke is just taking a break from his training. But when Ryusuke starts trying to memorize the magazine, Mina quickly realizes he's still training. After the bookstore, Ryusuke continues his training at home. Lizara, still unable to find Lead 1, complains to Ryusuke, but when he doesn't respond, she scolds him for ignoring her. Ryusuke, completely absorbed in his training, looks up and gets confused as to why Lizara is upset with him. He tries to calm her down, but Lizara starts tearing up and runs out of his house. Mina and Quell watch as Lizara runs off, with Ryusuke following after her. After chasing Lizara for a while, Mina and Quell help Ryusuke look for her. Meanwhile, Lizara gets into trouble with a monster. She tries to fight it, but is quickly defeated since the monster is too strong for her low mana energy. When Ryusuke finally finds Lizara, he rushes toward the monster and asks Lizara to absorb his energy. Lizara jumps at him and begins charging herself up. She sets up a protection barrier and launches an attack on the monster. Quell and Mina use Quell's special glasses to peek inside the barrier and notice Ryusuke acting strangely. He keeps folding his hands as though holding a book and flipping through its pages. After every page turned, Ryusuke imagines perverted and erotic scenarios to charge up his mana. Lizara charges a few times but warns Ryusuke not to overcharge himself as it could cause serious problems for his body. Ryusuke, however, doesn't pay much attention and continues to let Lizara absorb his energy. Meanwhile, Mina and Quell observe Ryusuke flipping through his erotic dictionary to charge himself up. Quell is confused about how Mina can interpret Ryusuke's actions, so Mina explains the situation to her. After a bit of imagination, Quell is able to see the dictionary in Ryusuke's hands. Both Mina and Quell are amazed by the divine power Ryusuke is displaying and start fangirling over his abilities. During the fight, Lizara is overpowered by the monster, which uses its tentacles to capture her. Ryusuke tries to help, but he also gets caught and is choked by the monster's tentacle until he stops moving. Lizara starts crying, blaming herself for Ryusuke's death. Feeling helpless, she sobs, unable to do anything. Suddenly, Ryusuke wakes up furious and declares that he will be the one to protect Lizara. A massive surge of energy leaks from his body, filling the protection barrier, but this energy doesn't get absorbed into Lizara's wrist device. After the energy calms down, an overwhelming force erupts from Ryusuke's chest. Lizara watches in shock as Ryusuke pulls a holy sword fragment from his chest and strikes the monster with one powerful blow. The monster is instantly destroyed and Ryusuke collapses to the ground, unconscious. Lizara, stunned, looks at him with pride but is confused about how Ryusuke was able to pull the holy sword fragment from his body. Meanwhile, the main villain of the Merla organization watches the battle's outcome on his device, intrigued by the strange stunt Ryusuke just pulled. When Ryusuke wakes up, Mina and Quell swarm around him, both expressing surprise. Quell clings to Ryusuke's arm and jokingly warns Lizara that she might steal him away if Lizara doesn't treat him well. The day ends with a sense of happiness among the group, but danger looms on the horizon, threatening their peace. Lizara, Quell, and Mina gather in Ryusuke's living room to get some answers about the strange event involving the sword. Lizara asks Ryusuke about the Gram sword he pulled from his chest during the battle, but Ryusuke seems clueless, having no memory of using any sword. He recalls the time when Iria mentioned the Galderblog's Gram sword and tells Lizara that he has no idea how a piece of the sword ended up inside him. Lizara, suspicious, asks how he knows about the sword and its history. Ryusuke explains that it was Iria who informed him about it. Just then, Iria joins the group to discuss the sword. Lizara then explains the history of the Gram sword, revealing that 2 families are responsible for guarding the pieces of the sword. One half is kept by the female guild, meaning Lizara's family is responsible for guarding it. The other half belongs to the male guild, but it went missing after an incident. After some thought, Mina suggests she knows someone who'd help solve the mystery. The group gathers around Ryusuke's computer to call his mom. Before Ryusuke can speak, Iria and Quell jump in to introduce themselves. Lizara follows suit, but before she can ask anything, Ryusuke's mom immediately asks which of the girls Ryusuke is interested in. Ryusuke gets shy and tries to explain, but Quell and Iria jump in, claiming that Ryusuke has done erotic things with them, which they say is why he's pursuing them. Lizara, feeling jealous, steps in and bluntly announces that Ryusuke has seen much more than just her naked body. Realizing what she just said, Lizara sulks in embarrassment in the corner. After the awkwardness, Ryusuke asks his mom about the sword. At first, his mom is confused, but then she reveals a shocking secret. Ryusuke's father didn't die as they had all been told. She has no idea where he is now, though. Ryusuke's mother shares the story of how she first met his father, surprising both Lizara and Ryusuke. She explains that one rainy day she found a man drenched and staring blankly at the sky outside her house. When she approached him, he revealed he had no memory of his past or even a name, so she decided to call him Ryusuke, just for reference. Feeling sorry for him, she invited him inside to keep him out of the cold. Lizara and Ryusuke exchange glances as they realize that the way Ryusuke's parents met mirrors their own encounter. Ryusuke's mother goes on to explain that over time, she and the stranger grew closer, eventually leading to her becoming pregnant with Ryusuke. One day, when she went to embrace him, she was stabbed in the chest by a sword. The missing half of the Graham's sword had been inside Ryusuke from the moment he was in his mother's womb. After she woke up, there was no trace of Ryusuke's father, and all she could remember was him telling her that he was entrusting the sword to his son, as he got something he needed to take care of. As the truth settles in, Ryusuke thanks his mother for raising him alone, and she smiles before saying goodbye. After the call ends, Lizara looks at Ryusuke with pity, remembering that he only has 2 months left to live. Later that night, Quell asks Mina for help in making Ryusuke hers before Lizara makes a move. Mina, who also harbors feelings for Ryusuke, encourages her friend, though she feels helpless about her own emotions toward him. That night, after Ryusuke falls asleep, Lizara and Iria meet by the window. Lizara expresses her fear that Ryusuke will die in 2 months, and seeing her so worried touches something deep inside Iria, who's used to Lizara's emotionless demeanor. The next day, during Iria's fan meet, she asks her manager about Merlot's involvement in the incident with Ryusuke, but the manager assures her that Merlot has nothing to do with it, leaving Iria to reconsider her next steps. Meanwhile, another monster is sent by Galderblog to retrieve the Graham's sword from Lizara. Upon seeing it, Lizara immediately activates her protection barrier and transforms herself, preparing for battle. However, Quell, eager to impress Ryusuke, arrives and attacks the monster. With a single strike, she seemingly kills it, earning Ryusuke's admiration for her technique. But the monster isn't truly dead. It disintegrates his body and launches a counterattack, sending out particles that drain Quell's mana. Quell collapses, powerless. Lizara quickly analyzes the monster and determines that it has the ability to absorb energy from the girls, making it a much more dangerous opponent than they initially thought. Lizara tries to use her weapon to cut the particles, but her attack is useless as the particles overpower her and drain all her mana. Ryusuke quickly steps in to help, offering his mana to charge Lizara, but soon he becomes weak and falls into her arms. Quell figures out that Ryusuke has been giving away his life force to Lizara for a long time, which explains his weakness. After Ryusuke passes out, Lizara starts crying for him. Her crying somehow triggers something inside Ryusuke, and he wakes up. He pulls the Graham's sword out of his chest to protect Lizara, making Galderblog realize that the sword can only appear when Lizara is the one to trigger it. Galderblog lets Ryusuke defeat the monster. Once the battle is over, the group feels relief, but the protection barrier begins to shake violently. Quell and Lizara sense that something serious is about to happen. Then, out of nowhere, Galderblog breaks the barrier and captures Mina. He tells Ryusuke and Lizara that they must follow him if they want to save Mina. Ryusuke quickly chases after Galderblog, but before he can reach him, the portal to Grimwald closes. Ryusuke immediately turns to Lizara and Quell, asking them to take him to Grimwald. They all prepare to head there, knowing the danger that lies ahead. After Iria's fan meet ends, she sits on a bench and waits for her car to go home. Her manager, however, gets a message and informs Iria that the higher-ups want to discuss something with her. At the same time, Ryusuke, Lizara, and Quell travel through the portal to go to the Grimwald. Lizara warns Ryusuke to think before he makes any sort of rash decision, but Ryusuke is on his high horse and doesn't listen to Lizara. Quell also tries to warn Ryusuke that his body is going to lose mana quickly in the Grimwald, so he should be careful with his body. As they arrive in the Grimwald, Ryusuke looks around and notices the Grimwald tower below him. Lizara informs him that Galderblog is hiding in this tower, and there is a possibility that he is keeping Mina here as well. With the help of Quell's magic, the trio makes a safe landing in the Grimwald. Lizara gets up and walks in the opposite direction of this tower. Ryusuke, who notices her different direction, points out that they have to go the other way so they can defeat Galderblog, but Lizara explains that they need help first. She tries to guide Ryusuke to go to her house first and get help from Lizara's mother. Ryusuke, who believes that he has become a hero after the possession of the Graham's sword, disagrees with Lizara and runs off towards the tower by himself. Quell and Lizara also follow him as they have no other choice. Meanwhile, Iria is informed about the situation in Grimwald, and she is offered to do a mission that can ultimately end Lizara's family. The mission is to divert Lizara from the tower and make her walk into a trap set by the Merla organization. Back in the Grimwald, Quell, Lizara, and Ryusuk are attacked by numerous beast monsters who are attacking them with everything they have got. Ryusuk takes out his sword and attacks these monsters, but to his disappointment, these monsters are more dangerous than he has ever imagined. He tries to attack them, but due to being outnumbered, Ryusuk falls back on the ground. Lizara does her best to fend off the monsters, but she realizes that these monsters are going to overcome her group soon, so she thinks about retrieving them. Quell, who jumps in the battle between Ryusuk and the monster, gets hurt while trying to save Ryusuk. This causes Ryusuk to start shivering with fear of the unknown. Suddenly, as the group is in grave danger, Iria arrives there right on time to save them. Due to numerous injuries, Ryusuk faints amidst the fight. After he wakes up, he finds himself on a bed inside Lizara's home. He looks at the side and notices a grown woman looking like Lizara. Turns out, this woman is Lizara's mother who helped Ryusuk get patched up after the fight. Quell also arrives in the room and informs Ryusuk that Lizara has healed her all the way, so she is fine now. Lizara's mother praises her daughter for bringing home a night warrior. Ryusuk disagrees with her remark, but Lizara's mother is sure of Ryusuk being the right person to help them in this battle. Lizara's mother asks her maids to help Ryusuk get healed up for the war. At first, Ryusuk gets a bit confused, but after the maid gets on top of him and starts doing erotic things to make him charge, Ryusuk feels his wounds getting healed up. After the maids excessively touch him, Ryusuk pushes them off and gets scared when he hears a lamp break. Turns out Ryusuk has developed a psychological fear after that battle. Lizara and Quell take a bath together, and Lizara asks Quell to take care of everything, while Lizara leaves to fight Galderblog with Iria. At first, Iria is a bit reluctant, but after Lizara's mother assures her about Lizara, Quell starts thinking about the situation. Lizara and Iria meet up in the battleground and prepare their plan to defeat Galderblog. Mina, who wakes up in the Grimwald Tower, looks around the place and realizes that she has been kept hostage here. She meets Galderblog and exclaims that Galderblog is being unfair, but Galderblog explains his reason for wanting the Gram sword. He wants to fix the human and Grimwald back to their right conditions. After he senses Lizara approaching the tower, he leaves Mina there and leaves. Quell keeps thinking about what she has to do now and finally comes to a firm decision. She gets up from her seat and walks towards Ryusuk's bed. She takes off her clothes and asks Ryusuk to take her. Quell tries to force herself on Ryusuk. She begins kissing him and tries to seduce him with her body. Ryusuk, however, stays indifferent and doesn't react to any of her tricks. He pushes her off and asks Quell to stop doing this. She gets frustrated and exclaims that she wants Ryusuk to return back to his pervert self, or else Lizara is going to be in huge trouble. Just hearing that Lizara is in trouble, Ryusuk snaps back into his old self. He asks Quell to explain everything to him and gets to know about Lizara and Iria attacking Galderblog alone. He gets up from the bed and asks Quell to prepare for them to join the battle. On the other hand, Lizara meets up with Iria, who is constantly reporting everything to her organization. Iria starts to make Lizara get into Merlo's trap and makes Lizara believe that she is helping her defeat Galderblog. Lizara and Iria begin their journey and go straight to the Restal army forces. Lizara asks the general to help her with her plan. The general, after hearing her plan, warns her to not make any rash decisions, but Lizara ensures him that Iria has found a passage that can help her defeat Galderblog. The general agrees to her proposition and prepares for the battle. Inside the Grimwald Tower, Mina breaks out of the tower window and tries stop escape by herself. Although she is a bit scared of heights, she forces herself to walk on the tall tower so Ryusuk doesn't come to the tower and get caught by Galderblog. Restal army prepares for their attack and gathers around the tower with their weapons. As the army is approaching the tower, one of Galderblog's minions informs him about the army approaching them. Galderblog smirks and asks his minion to give the army a warm welcome. As soon as the army comes closer to the tower, they are ambushed by the monster army. The monsters begin to launch deadly attacks on the soldiers, causing the army to suffer causality. At the same time, Iria and Lizara are secretly approaching the tower from a secret route given to Lizara by Iria. Mina, who was trying to escape the tower by sneaking out of the window, gets shaken up by the explosion impact and falls off the building. While she is falling, she recalls her confession moment to Ryusuk. She recalls how Ryusuk never understood her confession and said that he is going to treasure and protect all women around him. She looks at the sky and tears up, thinking she's going to die. Mina screams that she loves Ryusuk, and as soon as she says it, her body is surrounded by a bright light that fills around the Grimwald. Ryusuk and Quell, who are watching this light, get confused about the source of this light. Quell guesses that something might have happened to Lizara or Mina. Ryusuk gets agitated and wants to go to the Grimwald Tower as soon as possible. Before they can even leave, Lizara's mother stops them. She advises Ryusuk to not join the battle as the sword of Gram is within his body, and without a doubt, Galderblog is after this sword. She tries to hypnotize Ryusuke, but his memories with Lizara snap him out of this daze. He pushes off Lizara's mother and firmly tells her that he is going to save Lizara no matter what. Lizara's mother accepts his firm resolution as he uses his power and takes out the Gram sword from his body. Quell brings 2 monsters and asks Ryusuke to hurry up and leave with her. Ryusuke boards the monsters and heads towards the battlefield. Galderblog, who also witnesses this bright light energy, asks his minions to investigate it. His minion informs him that Mina has escaped from her room, and there is a possibility she's involved in this bright light incident. Galderblog quickly asks his army to gather men and capture Mina as soon as possible. At the same time, Lizara and Iria get curious about this light as well and travel to the tower to figure out its source. They get to the tower and Iria makes Lizara follow her to a passage she considers safe. Lizara still stays oblivious to Iria's betrayal and trusts Iria's words. She infiltrates the tower and follows Iria's directions. Iria guides Lizara to walk down a hallway and enters a specific security room to avoid getting caught by the soldiers. Lizara looks back and thanks Iria for her help and support. Lizara quickly walks down the hallway and enters the room. Upon entering the room, Lizara senses something wrong with the room. As soon as she steps in, the monsters hiding inside the room start to pop out from the shadows. Within a blink of an eye, Lizara is ambushed by the monsters. She gets confused and looks back at Iria for an explanation. Soon, Lizara is caught by these monsters and she helplessly looks at Iria. Iria simply looks at her with a dead stare and closes the door of this room, leaving Lizara at the mercy of these monsters. Iria walks down the hallway thinking about her victory over Lizara, but for some reason, she feels uneasy about the fact that she just betrayed Lizara. She remembers the time when Lizara and she traveled to the tower and feels guilty as she remembers that Lizara considers them as equals. After some time, she turns back and returns to the room where Lizara is being tortured. She quickly uses her powers and saves Lizara. She asks Lizara to move ahead as she is going to take care of these monsters herself. Lizara smiles at Iria and continues her journey towards Galderblog. Quell and Ryusuke also speed up themselves to get to the tower quickly. Episode 9. After defeating all types of hindrances in her way, Lizara marches towards Galderblog's room. Galderblog's minions who are looking for Mina find her wandering around in the gardens and bring her to Galderblog. He looks at her unconscious state and understands that she released this energy during her fall from the tower. Galderblog quickly gets the idea that Mina is the one that Lizara is looking for. He grabs her arm and asks Mina how Mina can release that enormous amount of energy. Getting scared of Galderblog, Mina only stays quiet as she is also surprised that she is able to produce that much energy. After reaching the main room, Lizara looks at Galderblog, who is trying to make Mina release that enormous energy again and challenges Galderblog to let Mina go. Galderblog laughs and mocks Lizara for not noticing something earlier. He forces Mina to release her energy and the whole tower is soon filled with Mina's energy. Galderblog laughs and tells Lizara that Mina is the one Lizara has been searching for in the human world, but since Lizara has been focusing on Ryusuke, she got blinded by the fact that Mina has such energy in her. Lizara stumbles back and gets shocked that Mina is the legendary one who can release that high energy. Lizara gets attacked by Galderblog's monster, and she gets captured by the beast. Unable to break free, Lizara helplessly watches Mina releasing all her energy. Suddenly, Galderblog's hand gets a mini rejection attack from Mina's body when he tries to absorb her energy. He then gets to know that Mina is already in a contract with Quell, which is why he cannot form a contract with her. At the same time, Lizara breaks free from the beast and lunges at Galderblog. Galderblog takes out his cursed sword and prepares to attack Lizara. Lizara gets blown back by Galderblog's attack, and after an intense battle, Lizara finally understands that she has no chance of fighting against Galderblog. She falls on the ground defeated as Galderblog brings his cursed sword on her. He raises his sword and is about to strike Lizara when Ryusuke arrives in the battlefield. He screams Lizara's name and jumps into the room to defend her. He takes out the Gram sword and prepares the attack. Galderblog gets happy that his Grand sword has walked towards him on his own. Ryusuke approaches Lizara and checks if she is alright. Galderblog takes advantage of the situation and attacks Ryusuke, but using his Gram sword, Ryusuke is able to deflect Galderblog's attack with ease. Galderblog is shocked to see how well Ryusuke can use the Gram sword. Galderblog tries to use a different attack by using multiple small energy balls to attack Ryusuke. This time, the attack affects Ryusuke, who falls back towards Lizara. Lizara supports Ryusuke and asks him to retreat right now, or they will have to face a lot of consequences. Ryusuke refuses to run away from the battlefield and tells Lizara that he's going to keep attacking Galderblog until he defeats him. Suddenly, Ryusuke grabs Lizara's upper arm and feels its softness. All of a sudden, Ryusuke gets a gush of energy in him as he starts imagining erotic things again. He charges at Galderblog again and shocks him with his heavy and strong attacks. Galderblog is surprised to see how Ryusuke is suddenly able to use the Gram sword so well. Ryusuke explains that he has gotten the motivation by touching Lizara's upper arm, as the upper arms of a girl are as soft as their boobs. Galderblog is shocked by Ryusuke's remark and tries to attack him again, but Ryusuke is already in his imaginative erotic world, imagining his life while dating Lizara. He imagines a perfect date with her and even imagines him getting into Lizara's home to have a stay-home date. In his imagination, Lizara excuses herself to visit a convenience store, and while she is gone, Ryusuke starts doing erotic things on her bed. His imagination even runs wilder when he imagines himself getting in bed with Lizara and doing the deed. This boosts his erotism energy, and he gets a super boost of mana. He charges at Galderblog and attacks him with consecutive attacks. Galderblog isn't able to keep up with these attacks and falls back in the battle. Ryusuke uses his sword and launches an ultimate attack that pierces through Galderblog and breaks the tower's main energy source. After Galderblog is completely defeated, he stares at Ryusuke and exclaims that he is thankful to Ryusuke for defeating him. At first, Ryusuke isn't able to understand what he means, but soon after, Galderblog explains the reason why he is against the royal family. Ryusuke understands that he has made a wrong move in killing Galderblog. Galderblog explains that the royal family has intervened in the right order of human and Grimworld dimensions, which has caused the balance between this world to collapse. Galderblog explains that he wants to reduce the human and Grimworld borderline a bit so the perfect balance can be achieved. After Galderblog does, the tower starts shaking and Ryusuke blames himself for making such a huge mistake. After the fight, Mina, Ryusuke, and Lizara faints on the ground. After Lizara wakes up, she notices Ryusuke and Mina unconscious next to her. She gets up from the ground and looks around. She notices that a huge number of Galderblog's monsters are flying out of the tower towards the Grimworld. She quickly gets up and looks towards the Grimworld. The very next second, her face is filled with regret as the whole of Grimworld is thrown into chaos. Episode 10. After the battle, Lizara notices that Galderblog's monsters are setting out to attack the Grimworld and the human world, as the energy emitted from the Gram sword has caused the border between Grimworld and the human world to collapse. Ryusuke, however, has a dream about his past and jerks awake on his bed. He notices his pet Caesar waiting for him to wake up. He happily pets Caesar and hugs it. Suddenly, he hears a pot falling near the near. He notices Mina standing there dumbfounded. She calls out Ryusuke's name and rushes towards him to hug him. Quell and Lizara, who are sitting in the living room with a tense expression on their face, hear Mina's sobs and rushes in Ryusuke's bedroom. They notice that Ryusuke is awake and gets happy. They inform Ryusuke that he has been unconscious for a long time and the girls have started to get worried about him. Ryusuke recalls the battle moments and asks Lizara what happened after he defeated Galderblog. The girls get a bit hesitant, but Lizara explains that the royal army dispatched after the battle ended and handled the situation. Ryusuke is happy to hear the news and everyone starts to celebrate it. Suddenly, Lizara reminds the group that they have to be more worried about the fact that Ryusuke is going to die in 2 weeks. Hearing about this, everyone gets a grim expression on their face, realizing that Ryusuke really has a short amount of time to live, but Lizara assures him that he's going to save Ryusuke no matter what. Quell and Lizara excuse themselves in the living room while Mina sits next to Ryusuke. He asks about his cell phone and computer, but Mina tells him that she accidentally threw his cell phone and computer in the washing machine. Ryusuke is shocked and asks her how she can make such a huge mistake. After convincing them that his cell phone and computer have been damaged, Lizara and Quell arrive in his room with a bowl of porridge. Ryusuke looks in their direction and almost gets a nosebleed, noticing that the girls are only wearing aprons on their bodies. He thanks himself for being alive, so he has the right to witness this scene. He looks at the from with his perverted gaze, but Lizara clears him that she is wearing a swimsuit underneath the apron so he doesn't get the wrong idea. After eating the porridge, Ryusuke sits in the living room and asks Lizara where his TV is. She explains that she has sold the TV for some money. Ryusuke gets sad about the fact that all the sources of his entertainment are gone. The girls try to distract him from the stuff that is going on outside his house. Mina even convinces Ryusuke to read porn to distract himself. Soon Aria joins the group and gets to know that the girls have not told Ryusuke about the situation in the human world. After Lizara explains the situation to Iria agrees to play along with the group. Another woman with lavender hair lurks outside Ryusuke's house without any of the girls noticing it. When Ryusuke expresses his desire to go out and dine in some restaurant, the girls quickly stop him and ask him to stay at home and play some games with them. It takes a lot of convincing, but the group ends up playing poker with Ryusuke. Strangely, Ryusuke is very talented in poker and manages to make all the girls strip their clothes to their undergarments. With another royal flush, Ryusuke asks Lizara and the girls to strip another piece of their clothing. The girls are still confused about how Ryusuke is able to get straight flush in poker without losing a single round. Lysara, who puts her family's name on the line, stands up on the table and shows her determination to prove her family's name's worth. She opens her bra and is about to take it off when Ryusuke stumbles on the table and a lot of poker cards slip out of his sleeves. The girls finally understand that Ryusuke has actually been cheating this whole time. Lysara teaches Ryusuke a lesson and lets him rest inside his room with a nosebleed. While Ryusuke is lying in his bed, the girls start discussing about the situation outside the house. Lysara explains to Mina that the first time a high energy was detected from their school was when Mina confessed her love to Ryusuke. During her confession, a huge amount of energy has been detected by the tower. The second this energy is released is when Mina is captured in the Gremlin Tower and she thinks about Ryusuke. The girls finally come stop the conclusion that they are going to help Ryusuke and Mina get together so she can help Ryusuke recover all his energy that he has lost during the battle. Despite Lysara being in love with Ryusuke, she agrees to let Ryusuke and Mina get together. Meanwhile, the woman who has been lurking outside Ryusuke's house makes her appearance in Ryusuke's room and informs him about the results of his actions in the Grimwald. He gets a bit confused, but she shows him through her wrist device that he has caused the border between the human world and Grimwald to disappear, which has caused all the monsters to attack the human world. Ryusuke isn't able to believe anything and walks to the living room where all the girls are having their discussion. Seeing his grim expression, Lysara quickly understands that something is definitely wrong with him. The other girl appeared from behind Ryusuke and tells the girls that she has told him everything. Ryusuke asks Lysara if he really has caused all the trouble and problems. Iria, who recognizes this girl, calls out her name and asks why she has told Ryusuke everything. Dalnia coolly replies that she has done what everyone else should have done a long time ago so Ryusuke can be aware of his actions. The truth causes Ryusuke to go in a panic mode, realizing that he has caused so many innocent lives to go in vain. He asks Lysara to accompany him to the battleground so he can take an equal part in this battle, but Dalnia stops him and explains that his current mana energy is completely zero, so he has no use in the battle. Dalnia excuses herself in another room and informs the girls that she's going to stay in this house until Ryusuke passes away. The group then has dinner and everyone tells the tension in the air, but Dalnia is indifferent about the situation and quietly minings down her food. After dinner, Quell and Mina go back to their house while Lysara and Iria sleep in the same bed in Ryusuke's house. Iria asks Lysara how she feels about giving up Ryusuke, but Lysara doesn't accept her feelings for Ryusuke. Later that night, Lysara goes to Ryusuke's bedroom and notices that he is awake and looking out of the window. She tries to console him, but Ryusuke confesses his feelings to Lysara. Despite her being deeply in love with Ryusuke, she rejects his feelings and tells him that she doesn't love him the same way. She turns around and has tears on her face, but she is determined to make Ryusuke one with Mina, so he can survive on Mina's energy. The next day, Ryusuke sleeps on his couch while a white napkin falls on his face. At the same time, Ryusuke's mother enters the living room and thinks that Ryusuke has passed away and she got her late, but he wakes up and assures his mother that he is still alive and well. While his mother is sobbing, the girls walk into the room and greet Ryusuke's mother. His mother finally sits down with them and the girls explain their desired method of saving Ryusuke by making him fall in love with Mina. Everyone is happy with this plan except for Lysara, who truly loves Ryusuke with all her heart. After resting on her bed for a while, she gets up and goes to check up on Ryusuke. She watches him as he looks at the upcoming movies in the theater on his phone. Lysara asks him if he is ready for the date and he says yes. While in Mina's house, Mina gets ready for the date and bucks herself up to do her best for Ryusuke. Quell tells her to relax and be happy on this date rather than being beaten by Ryusuke. After getting reading, she heads out to the location where Ryusuke and she have decided to meet up. She walks through the destroyed town and gets to Ryusuke. She meets up with him and both of them sets off for their date. Unknown to them, Lysara, Quail, and Iria are following them around to ensure that this date is perfect for them. At first, Ryusuke and Mina are walking around in the park. Quell notices that Mina wants to his hands with Ryusuke, so she uses her powers on a dog to make it attack Mina. Ryusuke automatically pulls Mina towards him to save him from the dog. Mina gets happy and starts to blush. They continue their date and talk about their nostalgic memories of their childhood. Ryusuke also smiles and looks at Mina. Watching them so close hurts Lysara from the inside, but she tries to stop putting up a strong front and making it seem like their interaction is not affecting her at all, but Iria quietly notices Lysara's painful expression. After the walk in the park, Ryusuke and Mina go to the movie theater to watch a movie. Since there is no one in the mall or theater, they get to have all the movie room for themselves. They watch and enjoy the movie. The girls also sneak behind them and watch their interaction. After this movie, they eat ice cream together and Mina shares her ice cream with Ryusuke. Having no more endurance to watch it, Lysara excuses herself and goes back home. Ryusuke and Mina continue their date and buy some clothes and win some vending machine prizes. At home, Ryusuke's mother sits with Dalnia and smiles at the fact that the girls are going to be able to save her son, but Dalnia disagrees with the woman. She explains that the death date of a person is fixed and cannot be changed no matter what. She also explains that the girls are planning to use Mina's powers to save Ryusuke, but their plan is bound to fail. Ryusuke's mother exclaims that he trusts the girls with Ryusuke's life, but Dalnia still stays firm with her point that Ryusuke cannot be saved. Meanwhile, during Ryusuke's date, he suddenly gets a feeling that he shouldn't be doing this with Mina right now and gets a weird kind of feeling in his heart. After their date, Ryusuke and Mina sit on a bench nearby and talk about their fate. Mina finally musters up all the courage and confesses her love to Ryusuke. Her energy starts to emit out of her body and brightens up the sky with it. She asks for Ryusuke's answer and he hesitantly replies. The very next second, Iria and Quell go back to Ryusuke's house and inform Lizara about the situation. They tell her that Ryusuke rejected Mina's confession and is soon going to die. Lizara quickly runs out of the room and grabs Ryusuke by his collar. She demands his explanation and Ryusuke finally gives her his answer. He confesses his life to Lizara with his whole heart. Lizara keeps rejecting his feelings and forces him to accept Mina instead and live a long life, but Ryusuke refuses and tells Lizara that he only loves her. After saying this, he faints in her arms. Lizara, Iria, and Quell quickly rush to his aid while Ryusuke's mother finally understands that the girls cannot save her son. Quell informs Mina about Ryusuke's condition and she quickly comes to see him. Ryusuke has been laid back on his bed while everyone around him starts mourning for him. Mina breaks down on the ground while Lizara has tears streaming down her face as she regrets not handling the situation properly. After Ryusuke fainting and falling into a coma, everyone starts mourning for his death. Mina, who finds the courage to respect Ryusuke's death, excuses herself and goes back to her home to change her clothes to those for a funeral. After she leaves, Dalnia walks in the room and asks everyone to bid goodbye to Ryusuke as she is going to retrieve his soul now. Lizara tries to stop and begs Dalnia to spare them some time, at least a day, so they can help Ryusuke come back to life, but Dalnia refuses her offer and gets ready to take Ryusuke's soul. Lizara again tries to stop her. Dalnia puts up a protection barrier around Ryusuke's bed to prevent anyone from trying to intercept in the process. She then uses her powers and takes out a green globe. Through this green globe, she takes out her weapon to extract Ryusuke's soul. She throws the weapon on Ryusuke's chest and tries to retract his soul, but after a minute, her weapon is deflected back from Ryusuke. She gets confused by the action but notices the Staller family seal on Ryusuke's chest. She removes the shield and asks Lizara to take out the Gram sword so she can suck out Ryusuke's soul. Lizara refuses and again asks Dalnia to spare them some time to prepare themselves for Ryusuke's departure. Dalnia refuses and uses her powers to attack Lizara. She forces her powers on Lizara to make her job easier. After Lizara has been restrained, Dalnia tried to suck out Ryusuke's soul again, but this time Iria jumps on her and takes her out of the house through the window. Dalnia dislikes the interruption in her work, but Iria challenges her for a fight. Both the girls transform themselves and begin their battle. At the same time, Mina gets out of her bath and gets ready to dress up for the funeral. She suddenly notices that there is an email on her phone by Ryusuke, but the email has arrived late on her phone. She quickly opens it and reads the heartfelt message written by Ryusuke to her. In his message, he expresses that he loves Mina as his childhood friend, but nothing more than that. In the end, when Mina reads the words "I love you," her powers get activated again. Dalnia and Iria, who are fighting at the moment, also feel the sudden amount of energy release. Suddenly, Dalnia and Iria get transported to a strange place, and before they can react, Iria gets transported back to Ryusuke's house. Lizara and Quell look at Mina and ask how she is able to awaken her powers. Mina explains the email arriving late on her phone and causing her to not understand Ryusuke's real feelings. Quell and Lizara then come up with a way to save Ryusuke. The method is a bit risky, but Lizara is ready to take any risk in order to save Ryusuke's life. Quell takes out the Grand Piece sword from Mina's body and gives it to Lizara. Lizara rethinks her decision and without wasting a second stands her chest with the blade. After absorbing the blade, Lizara faints on the ground. Dalnia also arrives in the room and looks at Lista using the extreme method to save Ryusuke. She patiently sits next to Lizara and waits for their experiment's result. She informs everyone that this risky method has also put Lizara's life into danger, and she also has a short span of time to live. Lizara, who is inside the other realm, floats around in the dimension and follows the sword's chain. She finally gets to the end of the dimension and finds Ryusuke's soul drifting away. She calls out to him several times and finally, Ryusuke recognizes her voice and wakes up. He looks at Lizara and asks her what she is doing there. She exclaims that he is going to save him no matter what. She starts pulling the chain in his chest and pulls him closer to her. Suddenly, Lizara loses her balance and almost falls into the pit with Ryusuke, but she saves them by catching Ryusuke at the last moment. Ryusuke asks her to let him go or else she's going to die as well. Lizara pulls him towards her and confesses her love to him. After confessing, Lizara kisses Ryusuke and screams that he has only seen her hair so he can't die so soon. After saying this, Lizara wakes up in the human world again with Quell checking up on her. At the same time, Ryusuke wakes up as well and gets hugged by his mother. Lizara looks at him and quickly rushes to hug him. Everyone watches as Lizara breaks down in the hug and Ryusuke starts emitting a huge amount of energy equivalent to that of Mina. Dalnia, who watches it, gets an idea to resolve the conflict between human and Grimwald. After this incident, a contract between humans and Grimwald forms, which makes the terms that both of the worlds are going to coexist with each other. The Grimwald residents can also roam freely in the human world and even be a part of their daily lives. Dalnia proposes to the higher-ups that they can use this happy energy from the humans and make them a jewel of life to get power for the Grimwald. The higher-ups agree and peace is formed between the two worlds. Aria returns back to her normal routine while Lizara and Ryusuke start living together as a couple. Back in their home, Ryusuke tries to convince Lizara to take a bath with him, but she firmly refuses. Iria, Quell, and Mina visit Ryusuke's house again and laugh at the childish relationship of this couple. In the end, Ryusuke finally gets his max erotism with a girlfriend like Lizara and everything ends well for everyone.